You can't impeach somebody just because you don't like them.
I don't think that he has done anything wrong. Definitely not anything that is an impeachable offense.
When Trump is talking about how it's a phony impeachment inquiry, just go to Article 1, Section 3.
I still don't know who I'm voting for.
And what is it that you love so much about Donald Trump?
Yeah, I want to know this one. Oh, you already know. You've heard it a million times. I still can't figure it out. Like, I still can't, like, fathom.
Well, no, you
I'm not
can't
processing. You know what? You can fathom.
Grand Rapids, Michigan, a part of America known for its industrious and entrepreneurial spirit. It's home to over 50 college campuses, a thriving microbrewery community, and some of the most coveted and influential voters in American politics.
I'm not registered either party.
I might be one of those swing voters, actually.
In 2016, these swing voters made Michigan an important battleground in the presidential election. And when President Trump declared victory here by just a little under 11,000 votes, many were shocked. Why? Because Michigan had not voted for a Republican candidate since George H.W. Bush in 1988. So it's actually election day here in Michigan, and while everyone is just voting for city officials, it does mean that we're only 1 year out from the presidential election. We figured what better place and time to ask people about how they're feeling about next year than today at the polls.
I feel like the Republicans left me, honestly.
Mark was a Republican for 15 years, but now considers himself an independent.
When I think of back like Ronald Reagan or George Bush, I mean, these were people that, you know, at least you knew they had character and you knew what they stood for. The current president, I think he's bad for America.
How are you feeling about like the political climate of Michigan in the grand scheme of where they're going to fall next year?
Nervous. Honestly, it could still swing for Trump as it did 4 years ago or 2016. So, as somebody who does not love our current president, that makes me nervous.
When it comes to voting in the 2020 elections next year, where do you stand?
I'm, I guess, a swing voter.
The impeachment is something that everybody is talking about.
Yeah.
I mean, is that something that affects how you're going to vote in 2020?
You know, nobody's perfect, but you certainly need to be a better person if you're in office.
It's a sentiment shared by some voters here in the upscale suburb of East Grand Rapids. In July, this district's representative, Justin Amash, caused political stir when he became the only Republican congressman to support the impeachment.
To me, the conduct was obviously impeachable.
And shortly after, announced his departure from the GOP to become an independent.
Congressman Amash has really both reflected the independence of the region and of his district, and then to some extent has led to the independence of the region and this district.
There's not a lot of Republicans right now that are brave enough to stand up to the president. Amash did that, so I give him full credit.
Someone who's really interesting to us is Representative Justin Amash, who was a Republican and in this July left for the Independent Party. Do you support that?
I mean, he's got his own choice. However, I do think that he kind of abandoned his voters.
We caught up with locals at one of the city's weekly running events.
I consider myself a libertarian politically. I mean, I feel personally that I feel like Trump's done more in 3 years than the Democrats have been promising for 50.
Would you consider yourself a swing voter?
I think so. I see characteristics in myself from both sides, from Republican and Democrat. My parents are far conservative. Some of my siblings are far liberal, and I kind of find myself kind of in the middle. I want to set a precedence for my oldest daughter.
Does she like Donald Trump?
Not really.
Would that change your vote at all, what your daughters think of him?
I mean, if they feel tainted by words or actions that he's done in the past, you know, I want to make sure that they know that, you know, I would stand behind them first.
What do you think of the impeachment?
I think it's way too much talk, and ultimately it ends up in nothing anyway.
Here's the problem is Democrats, like all of the top name, high power Democrats have been calling for impeachment ever since the guy was elected. Like the majority of people are never going to trust this process because they've been calling for it from day one.
To continue the conversation on impeachment, we're meeting with Chris Herwire in Midtown Grand Rapids at the Kent County Democratic Headquarters. Hey, nice to meet you.
I think that there's a really good chance that there will be an impeachment vote, but I think it's really going to depend on the live hearings.
How do you think that process might be affecting the voters here?
A lot of them feel that what Trump has done has been inappropriate.
Do you feel like Hillary Clinton missed the mark on reaching out to these people?
She should have spent more time in Michigan. There's no doubt about it. There's a reason that she lost Michigan, and it's because she didn't put in the effort there.
So then looking at 2020, what is it going to take a Democratic nominee to actually win this state back, and states like Ohio and Illinois?
Democrats have taken states like that for granted for far too long. Like, there's a reason that Trump was able to win these states, and it's because he spoke to a lot of the traditional Democratic voters here.
Another way to win the state in 2020 would be to conquer the growing suburbs.
So you're really seeing a sorting out, the outer ring suburbs becoming more Republican because of prosperity and belief in independence and some fear of what the national government might do. And then the inner ring suburbs in the city becoming more Democratic. And so it's almost like a donut, a Democratic center and more Republican on the outside of the city.
So we're about 15 miles south of Grand Rapids in a small town called Dorr Township. This is one of those outer ring suburb areas that are definitely still a stronghold for Republicans in the area. What's your take on the impeachment?
I think the thing that kind of frustrates me the most is I think with the impeachment inquiry is that there's so much focus on it that nothing else is happening.
Honestly, I kind of treat it the same way as the whole Russia thing. I pay attention to bits and pieces of it, but I kind of just let it sit back there because it'll go on for however long until it fizzles out.
You know, a lot of people would argue that enlisting foreign aid for political advantage and gain is a crime. So what do you say to those people?
I guess, yeah, I would agree that is a crime, but that didn't happen. There's no substance there.
Yeah, I would agree.
Someone I want to talk to you guys too about is Representative Justin Amash.
What frustrates me with that situation, and I would be incredibly more frustrated if I had voted for him if I lived in that district, is that he ran as a Republican. He ran with the help of the Republican Party on Republican ideals, and then all of a sudden, boom, he wins re-election, and oh, never mind, this is where I actually stand. I don't want to be a part of the Republican Party anymore.
And now, when it comes to like the outer suburb rings and even the rural areas of Michigan, especially in this area, do you think there's still Republican strongholds, and will they be in 2020?
Oh yeah, will probably be red for a very long time, if not always. People will vote for Trump even if they don't like him because of their religious background, and that's really strong here in this area.
So we're heading out of downtown Grand Rapids to Kentwood, which is one of the city's largest and most diverse inner ring suburb areas.
I am a proud Democrat. I represent the 12th District, the city of Kentwood and Wyoming, as a county commissioner. I'm a proud business owner, a proud resident of the city of Kentwood, and I'm a proud Republican.
And you guys are twins.
We are identical twins.
So tell me about the suburb of Kentwood.
I think that Kentwood is a very diverse place.
Mm-hmm.
It's a
like
big,
a melting
it's
pot.
a big melting pot.
It really is.
And it's a good feeling place.
Typically, more education and diversity means more Democratic. In 2016, Kentwood voted Democratic, with Hillary winning by nearly 3,000 votes. And so something that we think is so interesting about Kentwood is that as an inner suburb area, it's becoming more blue. Mm-hmm. Do you see this trend actually happening?
Oh yes, I see it happening. And when you have a group of individuals that were in the city and then they move out into the suburbs, of course that, you know, how they vote is still going to translate.
I want to know what you think about the impeachment process.
Okay, so I might not be popular for this, but why are we wasting all of these millions of dollars on this when we need to start thinking about go get somebody for 2020 and take that White House over? That's right. What we need to do. And it's not going to happen, so that's why they want to impeach President Trump. But see, that's the divisiveness. If they don't impeach him, they know that the Democrats candidates are so stinking weak. They know that. We are not
They're
weak.
so weak.
So here's
standing
the deal.
up for Democrats. We're not weak.
Despite their differences, they believe there's only one way to move the country forward.
And we always say the left wing and the right wing belong to the same bird. And that's where we have to get to. We have to get to a place where we understand that I need her and she needs me. You
Same
know?
bird, though.
Yeah, that's
I love that. That's really
but
cool.
we're not gonna fly if something's broken, and that's what's happening right now. Our country is so divided.
Michigan is up for grabs, and anything can happen in a year. The outcome of the impeachment may or may not influence how some of these swing voters in Grand Rapids cast their ballots. But one thing is clear. The suburbs will be key in winning this area and ultimately Michigan.